The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another special edition of Play Some Video Games, the flagship show of the PSVG podcast network, the only gaming podcast bringing you the triple G. And I'm not talking about guys' grocery games. I'm talking about geeks, gaming, and genuinely entertaining interviews. But we'll get to that a little bit later. With me this evening is, of course, Donnie. Sir, how are we doing?
Doing well. Greetings, Cooplings.
And now you might be asking, why is this a special episode? Well, Donnie here this year is going to be representing PSVG and getting some face-to-face coverage at MomoCon. So MomoCon 2018, it's the 14th annual MomoCon taking place from May 24th to the 27th in downtown Atlanta. MomoCon has the largest gaming floor in all of the Southeast. And basically, with more than 84,000 in attendance in 2017, MomoCon's the fastest growing all ages conventions in the country. Fans of Japanese anime, American animation, comics, video games, and tabletop games come together to celebrate their passion by costuming and cosplay, browsing the huge exhibitors hall, meeting celebrity voice talent, designers, and writers behind their favorite shows, games, and comics, and much, much more over this 4-day event. But Don, you excited for this?
You have no idea. I can't wait to get there.
Great. So our guest this evening, though, most importantly, is Ms. Renee Cooper, who is the director of MomoCon, correct?
I am the director of media relations for MomoCon, but I like that title. But very close. Yeah, director of media relations is my title.
All right. So before we get into the event there, what kind of history or background do you have with any sort of video games or board games in general, too?
Okay. So firstly, that was a great introduction of MomoCon. I feel like you have done my job for me. Those are all things I was going to say. And so awesome. We can get right into the gaming part and me. So I started playing video games. Okay, people are going to hate this story, so I apologize. But my first system was actually a Sega Genesis. My sister's first system was an Atari, but she's way older than me. So I remember Atari. I don't think I ever really played it successfully. My first console was a Sega Genesis, and then the first thing I really played hardcore on was a PlayStation. I was really into computer games when I was younger. I was one of the first. My friends told me that our house was one of the first ones that had an internet connection and a computer just active. So I played a lot of like the Commander Keen and Minesweeper and Secret Agent Sam and games like that. I watched my dad play Doom and Quake a lot, which is really probably explains a lot of my horror manga interests right now. But the first game I think I ultimately fell in love with was Spyro the Dragon on PlayStation. And I played that demo for probably months until I realized it wasn't the full game. And finally got the full game, and I didn't think I could love anything anymore until Kingdom Hearts came out for PlayStation 2.
Yes.
And that kind of just like made my entire world. I played Kingdom Hearts before I played any other Final Fantasy game, which was, I would say maybe a disservice, but also not really because it was so awesome. And, from there, I think my next favorite games were things like Mass Effect and Bioshock Infinite, Last of Us. And it kind of like, I was very story driven in my games, but I'm also very, I need guidance. So I'm very much linear. I liked platformers and I liked linear games where I didn't have to stray from the path too much. I could just, the goals were set, the path was set, the invisible walls kept me on path. And I really like those types of games because I get a really good story out of it, and I know that there's a start, middle, and finish. So I think really, though, either Bioshock Infinite or Last of Us was one of the last games that I played on a console. And I've just been so busy that I haven't had time to really, even get a newer system. So, but I really enjoyed those. And I'm actually really excited because we have voices from The Last of Us Troy Baker is going to be at MomoCon. Actually, the voice of Ansem will also be at MomoCon. So I'm a little geeked out about that.
Oh,
I
totally.
get to see them in person, hopefully, and or at least other people can meet them while they're going to be there. So that's exciting.
I will say, so those being the last games you've had a chance to play, you ended on a great note because you have great taste in games. I will say that.
Thank you so much.
Hall of Fame list.
Right. You picked all the best ones there, and I'm a huge, massive Kingdom Hearts fan, so you won me over there. So
Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. All the other ones are just like, all right.
Yes.
But like the 1 and 2 were amazing, and 1 was, I just don't think there's anything else quite like it, or I haven't played anything quite like it. So
I agree with you. I agree with you totally. Those are some of my favorites there. So how did you initially get involved with MomoCon, and what's your MomoCon story, if you will?
Okay, so I love this story. I've attended MomoCon since 2009. I've lived in Georgia since like 1996. I went off to college, came back in 2008-ish. I don't know if that's dating myself. I wasn't quite done with college. And my friends were like, I worked at GameStop. My friends were like, let's go to Dragon Con. I'm like, what's that? So I go, I have an incredible time. And they're like, well, there's other ones that pop up like MomoCon. So I go to that one there. It's free. So I go to that one on Georgia Tech campus. Love that too. Kept going for a few years. And I got onto a YouTube show called The Aficionados that was run by me, my friends, Derek and Mason AJ. And we were like, you know what? We really love these things. We love talking about it. We love talking to people. Let's apply for press passes. So we applied. And that year, Dan Carroll, who is the media relations director for Dragon Con, was also helping MomoCon to build that department. And we applied. We got denied. I called to just kind of understand if we still needed to purchase tickets and could still cover. And I spoke with Dan. He was extremely nice, and he gave us 2 passes that year to cover the con. And we were able to talk to Funimation guests. We were able to talk to Bryce Papenbrook and Jeremy Lee, like just great voice actor guests and industry guests, and submitted our works. And we were invited to, apply and come back and register for future conventions. Fast forward to about 3 years ago when MomoCon and Dragon Con had a strategic alliance, a strategic resource merger, where they basically use resources and share information in order to get bigger, better guests for both shows. So that was a really great move on both parts. And Dan Carroll approached me and he said, it's going to be really hard for me to be the face of Dragon Con and MomoCon. You're very charismatic and you have your stuff together. Would you be interested in taking on this position as media relations director for MomoCon? And I cried a little bit and I kind of got a little nervous in my stomach, but I was like, you know what, this could be a really great next step. So that year we kind of co-directed together. And, I kind of got my bearings, understood what it meant to direct volunteers and to be part of the team. And this is going to be my second year doing it kind of solo with Dan as my my assistant director. So I can kind of fall back if I need him, but he's taught me a lot of information. I've made great connections, and I've just really enjoyed helping to extend the reach and to work with other press outlets to make MomoCon more known, and so that this fun is broadcasted to more people, because it's, again, a super amazing experience, and I would love everybody from attendees to people who are applying as press to be able to experience it too. So and so here we are right now.
No, that's fantastic. So I have a little bit of a convention background myself too. So I've done about 4 years working with Rhode Island Comic Con. It's where I'm from, so up in the Northeast there.
Cool.
And I will say, con life, if you will, it's certainly both extremely stressful but extremely rewarding at the same time.
Yes.
My first experience was I just went as a volunteer, and I was supposed to help work some panels, do some line control, line everybody up and get that stuff going. And it somehow, long story short, throughout a massive amount of chaos and volunteers not really knowing what they're doing, and con direction kind of almost always falls apart. Like the day of is always chaos and running around.
Yes.
I ended up being not stuck because it ended up being an amazing experience, but being the body man for Michael Rooker from The Walking Dead and such. And
wow.
he was a character, so he kept me on my toes for like 3 days straight. His manager said after day 1 that he liked me, so I had to stay with him and not do the job I was supposed to do. And I was like, well, okay, because you can't really say no to him. And it ended up being a crazy experience, and that got me hooked for years after. I continue to work around Comic-Con almost every year, looking to do actually some panel hosting and stuff like that this year. But
Wow. Yeah.
it's certainly something that gets you hooked, and it's fun to see other people having fun. Like, that's the biggest thing for me, is that family atmosphere. MomoCon is a family-friendly convention, which we're a family-friendly podcast, so it's great to see somebody else kind of carrying that tradition, wanting to do the same thing, because this is something that means a lot to a lot of people, and you get to go meet those celebrities you've loved, whether it's the voices or the actors or the artists. It's a huge thing. So that's something personally I love about it, and I've always talked about that, and that's gotten Donnie interested. And MomoCon is not only going to be the first one he's covering, it's his first convention, period.
Oh, wow.
Donnie, why don't you talk about your con story, then how you got wrapped up in all this?
I'm really excited at having heard from Kevin for so many years how much he enjoys the cons that he goes and attends. I've always known that this is our local one. Unfortunately for me, up until this point, I've always worked this event as an employee of the emergency management agency on behalf of the city. We're always at the World Congress when you guys are having all the fun. So
right.
There's times where I get to slip away, like on my lunch break, and kind of walk through and meet some folks. I met the Zelda Informer folks last year and got to take some pictures, but I've never actually got a chance to take part in the event. But this year we wanted to try and make it an opportunity for the podcast, and honestly, personally for me, just to kind of get and see what all the fun is about. Because like Kevin says, he always says how much fun it is. And this year, I got to say, I feel like I picked the right year to do it. I've got so much. Actually, I've got some bullet points here I'm gonna read off, but I've got so much that I'm wanting to do. I've got tickets for my kids and my wife. They're gonna come with me, and then I'm gonna go in a couple days, just kind of as the press. And I'm hoping to get some interviews and to talk to some folks, take some photos. But I want to take in the Smash tournament. I've never actually seen a live Smash tournament. I think like on a professional stage where people play or real players come and recruit. I've seen like local GameStops and stuff like that. But I think that could be a really fun event to actually see something emceed and have some production value. Maybe that'll sway me on those events, because they're typically not ones that I watch from afar, like on Twitch or anything like that. And then you have this indie game showcase, which I wanted to ask about, because this gets some buzz. It's on Destructoid, and these indie gamers are, I guess, competing or at least showcasing for a prize that you guys are giving, and some of them are local and homegrown. My first question is, do I get to play them? Are they going to be playable on the show floor?
Yes. So there's about 20 finalists. There are a ton of games that are submitted every year for this indie game showcase, and they bring it down to 20 finalists. Their games are. I was actually just at the office today where they were loading the games onto computers so that people can have access to them. The attendees can have access. You can play them. They're puzzle games, platformers, strategy games, just a whole bunch of different genres. And they get judged by game developers and game journalists who will pick the top 3. And that top 3 basically win. I'm pretty sure there's a cash prize involved or some money prize involved, but they also get really great like marketing opportunities and promotional opportunities, including being able to come to MomoCon next year and present their game and their panels, and to just kind of extend their industry knowledge to others who may be interested in these same things. So yes, you can play them, and our gaming floor is actually open 24 hours. I don't know that those developers are going to be there 24 hours, but you will have a very large amount of window to play these games and to test them out yourself. So, and they're games, again, that maybe no one's ever played before, or this could be their first time, in this particular level of, completion that they're being offered to the public. I saw a couple of them, just like their trailers online, and there's some ones that have like beautiful graphics that you would think are just professionally done, and really fun story, and some that are very stylized but have a very deep puzzle aspect to them or a platform aspect. So it's a great range of finalists that they have this year, and I hope I get down to there to play at least once. I never really get to the con floor until later in the weekend, so but you will have access to that entire exhibitor hall, and yeah, you can play those games and really any games out on the floor.
And I'm very excited. I clicked through and I watched all the YouTube videos, and I actually went to all the developer sites and I followed them all on Twitter and I looked them all up.
Awesome.
And yeah, so I mean, and there's some Switch games. We have an entirely Nintendo dedicated podcast that I run weekly, and I know like any game that hits Switch has instant buzz. So I'm gonna put my hands on all the Switch games that I can. But some ones that stuck out to me: Everspace, Door Kickers, The Last Encounter, Shadow Play, and Samsara. All of those are kind of on my short list that I've got to get to as fast as I can. On my wife's front, because again, I'm bringing the family, so it's not just me get to geek out with video games. She's very interested in seeing the Triforce Quartet. She's a music major, and we actually saw the Zelda Symphony. So the moment that she saw that was there, she desperately wanted to.
She's super excited.
Yep, and your karaoke contest. She was upset she didn't get to submit in time, but she wants to go see and take part in the karaoke contest. And
they have multiple singing either competitions or just like casual like karaoke play. They've got karaoke that actually goes on, just like public karaoke that goes on in the evening. Have a whole department dedicated to make sure that runs like pretty late. There's also, like, so the Disney competition. There is cosplay and karaoke, or karaoke and cosplay. So as well as the there's two also bigger concerts that are going on that weekend. Like orchestra concerts as well.
Absolutely, I remember exactly, because they're doing the Halo music, right? It's
yes.
Open World.
Open World. I was like saying Overwatch and Overworld, just getting confused in my brain. But yeah, Open World, and then they have the Capcom Live, which is like taking the 8-bit and orchestrating it. So I get very emotional when I hear that music played live as well. So I don't know if I'll be able to make it and still make it through the whole weekend. But because I've heard that type of music played anytime. And of course, Kingdom Hearts. Whenever I hear the Kingdom Hearts overture, I'm just like, I'm gone. It's just water from my face. But it's beautiful music, very well done. I'm super excited that they're coming and are, creating that experience too. So, and a ton of other concerts too. Bit Brigade. There's YouTube musician influencers who are going to be there having their own concert. So it's like an entire weekend of so many activities that are going on that any level of fan can experience.
Yeah, it truly is something. There's truly something for everyone, I think. I may not even be able to pull her out of that music hall. She may just be like, go do your game thing, and I'll be here. Come pick me up. There's also
there's the dancing game, like those idol dancing games. She likes music and maybe even dancing. There's definitely going to be tons of those, like on the game floor. So she may find something new she likes too.
I'll have to make sure that we get footage for doing all of that stuff.
Yes, please.
There's also like an entire hall dedicated to tabletop gaming, and we have an entire podcast every week that's dedicated to playing board games. And I think maybe if I go and really pay attention to all of these and come back with some ideas, maybe they'll let me on their show. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I'm booked for their show in a couple of weeks. I'm their first guest. Maybe you could be the second one then.
It's hard to get on over there, but we're looking forward to checking out some board games. It's very now is probably maybe more than ever like the most creative time to be into tabletop gaming. There's a bajillion different ideas that are coming out. It seems weekly in our Discord. We're always hearing about the newest and latest board game.
Yeah, we have a lot of different presenters and a couple of vendors who will be there who have created their own games. My friend Chris, I cannot remember the name of his game. I just saw him at a convention this past weekend. And, he's created his own tabletop game and book. I have other friends who are doing the same thing. And again, there's presenters who are going to be at con who are bringing some of their first time game that they're starting out. And what's so nice is you have the option to learn from the people who created these games and play sessions with them and, add feedback or just kind of, offer them just the play test ability of it during the convention. And I just think that's such a great community aspect of it and a great way to keep the creativity going. So as well as some of the more popular games, like, I'm sure there's going to be D&D going. There's going to be things like Dominion. And, I only know a few off the top of my head. HeroClix, all those different things are going to be present there. Card games. They even have a LARP section. So really any style of gaming that you are into, you can find throughout that weekend. And because it's open 24 hours from Thursday to Sunday, you can hop around and do, really, you could be involved in so many different aspects, meet people to start your, to get in connection with games for later times and meetups later. So it's just quite the available accessibility for a lot of different style of gamers.
Now, I'd be remiss if I even tried to mention that I wasn't most excited to come see the big names, the big acts, the big draws that you guys have here. And as primarily the video gaming side here, I'm so excited. You guys have Doug Cockle, who's the voice of Geralt from The Witcher, the Witcher series. He's also in Horizon Zero Dawn, Quantum Break. I mean, just great. You already mentioned you guys have Troy Baker, Nolan North.
Yep.
Everybody loves Nathan Drake, Sam. Like, those are huge. It's absolutely Joel. I mean, these are big. And then you guys just had the news that I got to tell you probably made me the most excited. You guys have Goichi Suda, aka Suda 51, coming.
Yes.
Yeah, Suda 51. Yep, that was just announced a couple weeks ago or within the last week. And I've seen a lot of gaming publications. They've already covered it. They were talking about that he's coming. What surprises is he going to bring? What's he going to say? And I'm even more excited after reading those because I didn't honestly realize how exciting it was. But it is one of our top tier gaming guests that's going to be there. So super excited for that. Everybody's getting hyped about his appearance there, and we could be, he could say something amazing that only would have said at MomoCon. So yeah, that's kind of exciting.
They're having an NIS of America panel, and he's bringing with him a quote-unquote special announcement. So if you're not going to tell us what that is here now, I will let everybody know that I'm hoping to report that as it happens live, because I'm not missing that for anything.
I got an envelope. I have an envelope, but it's sealed. It says do not open until after panel, so I can't tell you what's in it. I'm so sorry. I literally don't have that. Please don't come after me. I really don't have an envelope.
I'm hoping for a Killer 7 remake, man. That would be...
I will say I was shocked by this news. So Suda 51 is one of my favorite developers, hands down. But I've always heard that he's like a recluse. He doesn't do these things. And the fact that you guys landed him for MomoCon, I was like, this is insane. And the fact that he's going to drop special news, or that he's even there in the first place, just so rare that you don't see this at all. We've seen Troy Bakers, we've seen Nolan North. They attend a lot of cons actually now, and those are still huge draws. Now this is one you do not see on guest lists very often at all.
Right, and the co-chairs of MomoCon, Jess and Chris Stuckey, they are really incredible people. They put in a lot of hard work all year round, and they talk to tons of people. They get contracts going, and they have guests booked for next year already.
Oh, sure.
They already have contracts signed, and it's that's exciting for me to hear, because those announcements are going to come out, and they're already, as soon as the show's over, they can be creating of what more fans want. And that's one thing that MomoCon does, is we listen to what fans want, and we're just how can we make this show even greater? So being able to get this guest who is international and is not known to doing a lot of cons, I think Atlanta also is very much growing in the esports circuit, and people are paying attention to what's happening here. We've always had Karch Network, we've always had kind of some of the other bigger cons that are representative of Atlanta, but MomoCon is becoming that, we're entering that space, we're becoming that large, and we are, bringing in enough people that it's blipping on people's radars from beyond, even the US. So I think that that's what is helpful in showing that we have a great enough crowd that is, worth a lot of these celebrities coming out and giving us that special announcement, because Atlanta, they want to be here in Atlanta just as much as we want them here. I feel like. So it is super exciting to, to see this and to know what's coming up for future years. But I'm excited. So make sure you get that coverage. So if I happen to miss it from another panel or being in the room for any reason, I can tune into you guys' podcast and I can know, I get that idea. So that would be great. Thanks.
We'll be there. The last group that I'm excited to see is Yacht Club. Yacht Club Games is going to be there, and they make Shovel Knight. And Shovel Knight's doing all kinds of stuff. They've got the King Knight DLC that's coming to all platforms very soon, as well as Shovel Knight was just added to Blade Strangers, right? Blade Strangers, and that was called, it's a platform fighter.
Yep.
So maybe they'll have some of that there too, and maybe we can play either one of those or any of those titles. And honestly, just to talk to them, I'd just love to let them know how much we here at PSVG love Shovel Knight, because I feel like we've been talking about Shovel Knight for 2.5 years.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, all right. And that's what's really, really nice about that, is that connection with any of the influencers or developers or the creators, is you do have that time. And that's why the experience of coming out to any convention, but especially ours, is such a draw, because it's beyond just that, I tweeted them. Now you can actually real life tweet them by speaking words to them. And I think it's going to be, like I said, you'll enjoy it. It's going to be great that you will be able to like share that with some of your fans and followers as well.
Absolutely. All right, Renee. Now, I've listened to some of your MomoCon interviews, and I gotta say, I feel like some of the journalists here in Atlanta have given you pretty easy road with some questions. So we came up with some hard-hitting, we're professional, real journalist questions. Are you ready?
Oh, do it. I'm so ready.
All right. I got question number one, and I'd like to ask you, how do you feel about MomoCon's current location on the calendar as a video game-centric podcast and outlet? I mean, a lot of eyes right now in the video game industry are pointed at it to that conference that's happening 4 weeks from now out there in LA. Do you think that maybe you're overshadowed, and do you think you'd ever possibly maybe move the timing?
I am pretty sure that Jess and Stuckey are on this, and they are making every move to make sure that we're on a good time during the calendar year, because they do go to a lot of different conventions and shows around the country. So they're very much aware, especially on the gaming circuit, what we're competing with. So while I don't have an answer to whether or not they'd be moving the date, I know that the location is prime in terms of the Georgia World Congress Center. It's great for growth. It's great for being able to house all of the different experiences that we're doing. I think Memorial Weekend has worked out really well because being an all ages convention, people are out of school, people are getting out of school and graduating, so they have that weekend to experience the con. But if there is a more optimal time for making sure we're not competing with other conventions around the country, because we are growing to that nationally acclaimed level, I'm sure that they would look into that and make the best decision for the fans and make the best decision for the convention.
And that makes a lot of sense. I got to say, I'm just really excited that it's here in Atlanta. I mean, E3 used to be here in Atlanta, I guess, back in the day. And I mean, really, you're kind of filling the void. Outside of Dragon Con, there's not a whole lot of video game in this region. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And we definitely, I'd be very surprised if we moved out of Atlanta. We are Atlanta grown and made, so I'm sure it will be here. But in terms of timing, that just is up to what's convenient to again, what the fans say, and like just running the convention in general. So we'll see.
All right, so fair enough. So Renee, the huge growth that MomoCon's had over the couple of years there, your convention dream list, who would you want to snag and see at MomoCon in upcoming years?
Oh, there's so many amazing people, and there's so many people who've already come through that I've absolutely loved the chance to speak to, or just to see and hear their stories. I am a huge Steven Universe fan, and I would love to see them come back to Atlanta, and more voice actors, more of the gems, more of the creators even. Rebecca Sugar is an amazing artist and storyteller, and I would love to have her come through. So definitely Steven Universe guests. I'd be really happy about that. Also more nostalgia guests. I was really happy when Cree Summers, who voices basically every Black girl cartoon character from the 90s and on, and she was a fantastic person. She smells like Pocahontas. It's so wonderful to be around her, and it's very endearing. Like, you had to have been there. So I'd love her to come back. And even though this year we have Kimberly Brooks, who is like my second favorite super magical Black girl voice actress. So I'm happy that she'll be here. But I would also like to be surprised. I'd love to have more, I don't really watch a lot of anime in English, even though I'm familiar with a lot of English voice actors for anime. But I would love to have more English video game, like things that are translated from English. Some of those voice actors to come over from like video games. So yeah, I think that would be exciting for me. Yeah.
All right, you're almost off the hook. Last one.
Okay.
This is an easy
hard.
one. What do you want to see MomoCon become in the next, let's say, long-term planning, 5-10 years?
I want MomoCon to be I want guests from beyond the country. I want more Japanese guests. I want more voice actor guests. I want more people to see that Atlanta has made a name for itself on the map in terms of very many media types, video games, movies, cartoons and animation in general. And I would just love to see the numbers grow. I would love to see more fans coming out and enjoying this convention, because we have, again, a space that is sustainable for even more growth. And I would love people to continue to learn from the panels and the programming and the things like we have the career fair. I would love to see those things grow even bigger and draw more people in, because they see MomoCon as more than just a fun time where they can dress up and play video games all weekend, but a place, again, where they can learn, and they're having these really deep, meaningful experiences with everyone in their family, all of their friends, and just able to, it's almost like a vacation, like a nerd vacation people can go to right up, whenever the time of the year it happens, but they know it's going to be in Atlanta, they know it's going to be in a great spot, and they know they're going to come out and get an entertainment-based experience, but also a really great educational experience and a nostalgia experience, all mixed into one. So I know that we're going to get there, and I'm just excited to see it. And I'm thinking even sooner than 5 years, we're going to see something, some explosive numbers. But that's what my goal is.
That's great. So just a reminder for everybody listening, MomoCon this year takes place from May 24th to the 27th, with doors opening at 2 p.m. on Thursday and then finally shuttering closed at 5 p.m. on Sunday. Tickets range from single-day passes from $30 to a complete multi-day 4-day pass for $75. Kids under 9 and under are free, so you don't need to pay anything for that, so it's a great opportunity. If you're in the Atlanta area, please go check out MomoCon. If you're a fan of anime, American animation, comics, video games, tabletop, all that great stuff, go and check out MomoCon. It's bound to be a great time for all. Renee, thank you so much for your time this evening. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you letting us have the opportunity to check out MomoCon and provide our listeners and viewers with some top-notch coverage, hopefully. If Donnie doesn't mess it up, we'll see.
We'll keep him in check.
Yeah,
we got coffee and Red Bull to keep him awake in our room. He will be golden.
Please do. I appreciate that very, very much. You have no idea. So thank you again for your time so much. Wish you the best of luck in this con, and, of course, in the future with the expansions and your continued growth and success over there at MomoCon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again. So remember, boys and girls, if you're in the area, go check that out. Go buy some tickets. Go, go, go. But more importantly, we ask, as always, that you never stop gaming.